Welcome to So Much to Talk About. My name is Nabaté Isles, and it's always a pleasure to share facts and viewpoints on the world of sports, as well as feature wonderful guests. This week is no different. To my right and your left is a gentleman that is one of the rising writers nationally in sports, and he writes for ESPN.com, New York. And we met at a lot of the Knick games and everything like that, and definitely his knowledge speaks for itself. I would like to present Mr. Jared Zwerling. How are you?
Hey, I'm great, man. How are you?
Good.
Thanks
Everything's
for having me
well.
on. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes, and there is so much to talk about, literally and figuratively,
Absolutely.
with
Yep.
the NBA offseason. No lockout that's looming or anything like that. But
Right.
I wanted to. But first, before we get to the NBA, I wanted to talk a little bit about yourself. Talk about how you got involved with ESPN New York and how you were able to really cultivate and craft your style for readers to check you out.
No, definitely. I've been working in sports for about 10 years. I went to NYU and
Okay.
been in New York ever since 2004. So I've worked in sports. I've worked at CBS Sports, Sports Illustrated. So in different capacities. I've worked at a lot of magazines, Dime Magazine, did some writing for Slam Magazine. So I've always been entrenched with basketball from all different levels, high school, college, street ball, NBA. I played competitively for 15, 20 years. So I've
Okay.
always been a basketball guy. I just love the game. I love meeting people around the game, not just the players, but the trainers, the equipment managers, the PA guys. It's just great to know everyone around the game because you really tell the most compelling stories when you get to know everyone. It's just great for networking for that reason. So ESPN, I've been there since 2009. I started with ESPN, the magazine. I did some reporting research for the national magazine, and I also worked for ESPN High School. I cover everything from high school basketball, high school lacrosse. Again, I'm a high school guy too, so I did a lot of that. And just basketball was my thing. And then ESPN New York was launching, I believe, in 2010.
Yes.
And I was already based in New York, and obviously they were looking for some more national, not national, but more like Knicks, Nets coverage. And I just told them I was an NBA guy and just kind of got into it. Initially, it was a lot of writing and blogging, and since then it's been great. I've been doing a lot more radio and TV, and the experience has been great, like meeting you and everyone around the team. It's just a great camaraderie of people. One thing I love about New York, I'm from Miami originally,
Okay.
and I think that the fans in New York are the best. They know the game, they're passionate about the game. You always have to bring it every single game, just like Carmelo Anthony on the court, Amari Stoudemire. I mean, they'll get on them about how they play. They get on us about how we write, how we cover the team. So we always have to be on point, and they challenge me a lot, and I mean, they get me thinking. Even like at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm thinking about, damn, what should I be writing? What should I be thinking about? So I've enjoyed covering the Knicks, and I look forward to next season for sure.
Well, being from Miami, I know those were the days before Pat Riley took over. It's kind of, a little bit questionable, of course,
right.
But growing up in Miami, what was your take on what Riles did for that franchise, and especially Alonzo Mourning, who's very underrated from how he really brought that franchise to visibility, to speak.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was style. Miami has a lot of style, and Riley came in with like his Armani suits and his slick back hair, and people were like, this guy has definitely some Miami South Beach, some Miami Vice in him. So I think that they related to his style and everything like that. Initially, it was crazy because he was coaching the Knicks, and it was wondering like how would this work out because of the rivalry. But he really came in and did a great job. Obviously, Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway, Jamal Mashburn. We had some really good teams, and PJ Brown, and so we had some very good offensive teams, very physically defensive-minded teams. Obviously, we went to war with the Knicks in the late '90s in some amazing battles, and ever since then, just running the team. He's a very, very meticulous president. I hear he demands a lot on his staff. He even checks in on them when he's out of town. He makes sure that everyone gets to work on time. I mean, he's really on top of his team, and I think Spoelstra, the coach now for the Heat, really has done a good job, kind of as the Pat Riley disciple, really taking after Riley and really being on top of the team. And getting LeBron, Wade, and Bosh to really sign for a little bit of less money, around $60 million. I mean, obviously, hats off to him. And now getting Ray Allen and Rashard Lewis. I mean, they've done a really nice job upgrading. So they're definitely going to be the challenge in the East, no doubt about it. And the Knicks obviously upgraded, themselves as well. So I think it's going to be a nice rivalry once again, like it was in the '90s. I think defensively, it's going to be some more physical battle, especially with Marcus Camby back in the fold.
Right, that's right. And speaking of the Knicks and speaking of defense, how impressed were you with the defensive transformation? I mean, they did pretty well when Coach D'Antoni was at the helm. Now when Coach Woodson took over, the defense even accentuated to a top 10 defense. How impressive were you?
I definitely was. I mean, the thing is that I think fans sometimes forget that Mike Woodson was with the team from the start of the season. It's not like he just came in right away and all of a sudden they had like this huge transformation. So, you saw them really progress defensively even before Mike Woodson took over. They were really top 10 in the league defensive efficiency, and started with Tyson Chandler, really demanding a lot on the guys and really anchoring the middle. Jared Jeffries did a great job off the bench, taking charges and drawing offensive fouls. And Mon Shumpert really developed. So they not only had the coaching, but they had the personnel to really back up the coaching. Then I think when Mike Woodson took over, I think he actually really motivated Carmelo Anthony and Amari Stoudemire to really improve their defense. I think those two guys weren't always consistent, and I think that Mike Woodson really demanded a lot of accountability on those two guys and really had them buy into the system. And Melo, I think, just respects Woodson a lot. I'm not saying he didn't really respect D'Antoni, but I think that Woodson has a much more different demeanor. You know, he's tougher. I think he relates to the players a little bit better. He's not so focused on just the play calling. He really, I think, is very connected to the players in a very personal kind of way, and I think that really influenced Melo and Amari to really step up their defense, and that affected the entire team. So now getting Marcus Camby, Jason Kidd, even Raymond Felton's a good defender, averages about 1.4 steals per game. They just got Ronnie Brewer today, who's also averaged about 1.4 steals per game.
Big upgrade over Landry.
I totally agree. And you know, obviously with Mon Shumpert out, you needed some backcourt defensive presence, and they got that with Ronnie Brewer. So I think all these guys mixed in with Coach Woodson, I think they're going to really bring it defensively. The biggest question is how are they going to gel offensively, getting that chemistry down.
Right, and that's the thing. And with Coach Woodson, what's very impressive about his career, his winning percentage has gotten better every season. Very underrated from that standpoint, but he has to make it far in the playoffs. Can this, how the team is constructed right now, can this team make the Eastern Conference Finals, do you think?
It's going to be, I think, a challenge. I think it's going to be a challenge. I think they'll get to that third or fourth seed. I think the Nets obviously upgraded as well. The Knicks have to get home court. I think that they do, and I think they have a great chance of winning the Atlantic Division, actually. I think the Celtics did upgrade as well, but I think that they can definitely maybe make a run for the Atlantic Division. If they get home court, they can make it definitely to the semifinals. I really believe that. The Eastern Conference Finals will be definitely a challenge. It depends who they're going to face. Is it going to be the Miami Heat? Is it going to be the Brooklyn Nets? Maybe the Boston Celtics? I mean, I think that they can get to that level, but you know, again, it's going to be taking a lot of perseverance, a lot of offensive chemistry, and clicking at the right time, and obviously staying healthy. That's the biggest thing. We saw last year, they had injuries at the worst time. You know, they came in, you know, after going 18-6 in the last 24 games, they played so well, top 3 in the league in defensive efficiency and scoring the ball around 100 points per game. Next thing you know, they just had injuries decimate the roster. So it was the worst timing. I'm not saying they would have beaten the Heat in the first round. I mean, the Heat obviously were going to win the championship, and really no matter what. I think they were just destined for that. But they would have put up a better fight. And I think that with the stability, with Coach Woodson, with some of their new additions this offseason, I think they can really push definitely for the semifinals. The Eastern Conference Finals, we'll see. I mean, I think that a lot depends on, again, health, chemistry, how they're kind of boating on the court together. But they definitely have the pieces to get there. And if Mon Shumpert comes back healthy and really adds a lot of defensive presence, I mean, that's a huge, huge upgrade. So I think that they definitely have the pieces. Again, just is it going to come together at the right time?
And I wanted to ask you, which one acquisition was really major for the Knicks' progression, and which acquisition was a little questionable in your opinion?
I think the biggest acquisition that really benefited the team was Marcus Camby. You know, I know he's 38, 39, but to me, he's still one of the best defenders in the league in the interior. You know, I'm not saying Jared Jeffries wasn't good, but now you have Marcus Camby backing up Camby. Not only that, Camby and Chandler could play the closing minutes of a game together. I mean, talk about a great front court interior. It's kind of like Tim Duncan and David Robinson back in '99 when the Spurs won the championship. So that's a really, really, I think, positive upgrade for the Knicks. You know, having those two guys down there guarding guys like LeBron and Wade slashing. I mean, one guy gets into foul trouble, you have Camby backing him up or Tyson Chandler there. So I think that really gives the Knicks a great, well, I mean, maybe arguably the best front court duo, center duo in the league. Questionable, I mean, you know, it's hard to say. I think they made some good upgrades. I would say the biggest thing is Raymond Felton. I like the acquisition. I think he's going to be a financial steal with the money that they're paying him. The question is he going to be in shape? Is he going to be driven? Is he going to come in really committed? I mean, we saw last year he wasn't in shape with the Trailblazers, and he even admitted that he wasn't in shape. So I think that's the biggest thing.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you think he was upset about being traded from New York? Do you think still, when he got to Denver, he was still like? No,
he was. He actually admitted it.
Autopilot.
He did admit it actually on an interview last week or a couple days ago with MSG Network that he actually was upset. And the trade happened like 2 days before he even. I think initially when the trade was being talked about for Carmelo Anthony, his name wasn't even in the trade talk. And then like 2 days before it happened, his name was in the trade talk. So that really kind of.
Yeah, because Billups' contract. Denver wanted to include Billups' contract as well.
So that definitely surprised him. I think it definitely upset him. I think he was playing his best basketball, 17.1 points per game, 9 assists, both career highs. So I think that he was upset, and I think getting a chance to come back really will motivate him to get back to that level. I think it's a great move. I mean, the only thing I question is just hopefully he comes into shape and really commits himself to the game. he's young enough, 28 years old, to really make a difference with the Knicks.
And the job is his. So there's
absolutely
no
to start.
This is the time
this is
for
his time. He's the starter. Jason Kidd will come off the bench. I mean, I think Kidd and Felton could play the backcourt together at times. I think Raymond Felton could be maybe an off-guard because he's a great three-point shooter. Right. In fact, with the Nuggets, after the Melo trade, he shot 45% from downtown. That's pretty remarkable. That's one of the top marks in the league at that point. So even Kidd can shoot the three. He's third all-time in three-pointers made after Ray Allen and Reggie Miller. So that's one thing with the Knicks. I mean, they were I think, like in the bottom of the league in three-point percentage last year. Yeah. Outside Steve Novak, I mean, JR was very inconsistent. So now you bring in Kidd. Felton, Ronnie Brewer, his shot's still not there. He's working on it. He shot, I think, 25% last year from three. So his agent, Henry Thomas, told me today that he's improving his three-point shot right now in the offseason. He's really focusing on that three-point shot.
He always had that weird shot.
Yeah,
that
he does.
Weird form.
Yeah. So
right,
if he brings that, maybe we'll have another three-point shooter. We'll see.